the Whistling Hill boarding school. My name is Min, and I'm 17. I never thought I'd end up at a place like this, a boarding school perched on a windy hill, far from the city, where the air always carried a faint, eerie whistle. It wasn't my choice to come here. My parents thought a change of scenery would straighten me out after some trouble at my old school. So, in the fall of 2024, I was shipped off to St. Augustine's, crumbling relic of a school built by the French back in the colonial days. The main building was all stone and ivy, with tall, narrow windows that looked like they were watching you. The girls' dormitory, though, that was something else entirely, a separate, abandoned structure at the edge of the campus, boarded up and left to rot. No one talked about it, but you couldn't miss it, looming on the hill like a forgotten ghost. The first day was ordinary enough. I arrived with a suitcase, a backpack, and a bad attitude. The other students were typical cliquey, sizing me up as the new kid. The teachers were stiff, and the headmistress, Ms. Nung, was the kind of woman who could silence a room with a glance. She was tall, thin, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that seemed to see through you. Her rules were drilled into us during orientation. No phones after 10 p.m., no wandering the grounds after 11 p.m., and absolutely no going near the old girls' dormitory. "It's unsafe," she said, her voice cold, structurally unsound. That was it. No explanation, no history, just a warning. I was assigned a room in the new dormitory, a modern building that felt out of place next to the ancient campus. My roommate, Trang, was quiet but friendly enough. She showed me the ropes, where the cafeteria was, which teachers were strict, and how to sneak snacks past Ms. Nung's nightly rounds. "She's like a hawk," Trang whispered as we unpacked. "If you're out of bed after 11, she'll know, and she'll make you regret it." The first week was uneventful. Classes were boring, the food was terrible, and the wind never stopped howling. It came from all directions, rattling the windows and slipping through cracks in the walls. At night, it sounded like voices low, mournful, like someone whispering just out of earshot. I told myself it was just the isolation getting to me. I'd never been away from home this long, and the hill felt like it was cut off from the world. No cell service, no Wi-Fi unless you were in the library, and even then, it was spotty. It was like the place wanted to keep you trapped. The weirdness started on my second Monday. I was in my room, cramming for a history test, when I heard it, a soft, deliberate knock on the door. 3 taps, slow and even. It was 11:37 p.m., way past curfew. Trang was already asleep, snoring softly in her bed. I froze, my pen hovering over my notebook. The knocking came again, a little louder this time. My heart started pounding. Ms. Nung's rules echoed in my head. No one was supposed to be out after 11. I crept to the door, my socks silent on the cold floor, and pressed my ear against it. "Who's there?" I whispered. No answer, just the wind, whistling outside like it was laughing at me. I waited, holding my breath, but the knocking didn't come again. I cracked the door open, just enough to peek into the hallway. It was empty, the fluorescent lights flickering slightly. The air felt heavy, like someone had just been there. I shut the door and locked it, telling myself it was probably some idiot pulling a prank. But as I climbed back into bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, I asked Trang if she'd heard anything. She looked at me like I was crazy. "Knocking at midnight? You're dreaming, Min." I didn't push it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, I stayed up, pretending to study, but really just listening. Sure enough, just after midnight, it came again. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, deliberate, like someone was testing if I'd answer. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After a few minutes, it stopped. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, the wind howling outside like it was trying to tell me something. By the third night, I was a wreck. I hadn't slept properly, and the knocking was all I could think about. I told Trang about it again, and this time, she didn't laugh. "Maybe it's one of the girls messing with you," she said, but she didn't sound convinced. "Just don't open the door, okay? Ms. Nung will kill you if she catches you out past curfew." That night, I decided to stay awake and catch whoever it was. I sat on my bed, a flashlight in one hand, my phone in the other, even though it was useless without signal. The clock ticked past 11, then midnight. The wind was louder than usual, rattling the windows so hard I thought they might break. Then, at 12:04 a.m., it came. Tap, tap, tap. My stomach dropped. I forced myself to stand, my legs shaky, and tiptoed to the door. I didn't open it. Instead, I looked through the peephole. There was a girl standing in the hallway. She was my age, maybe a little younger, with long dark hair that fell over her face. She was wearing the school uniform, a white blouse and navy skirt, but it looked wrong. Like it was too big for her, or maybe too old, like something from a thrift store. Her head was tilted down, so I couldn't see her face clearly, but she was just standing there, perfectly still, like she was waiting for something. "Who are you?" I called through the door, my voice louder than I meant it to be. She didn't answer. She didn't move. Then, slowly, she raised her hand and knocked again. Tap, tap, tap. I stumbled back, my heart racing. I looked through the peephole again, but she was gone. The hallway was empty. I yanked the door open, half expecting to see her running away. But there was nothing, just the flickering lights and the endless whistling of the wind. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I went to the school office and asked to see the student roster. I don't know what I was looking for, maybe a name, a face, something to explain what I'd seen. The secretary gave me a weird look, but handed over the list. I scanned it, page after page, but there was no one who matched the girl I'd seen. No one with long hair like that. No one whose name I didn't recognize. I asked Trang and a few other girls if they knew anyone who fit the description. They all shook their heads. Maybe it was a prank, Trang said again, but her voice was quieter now, like she didn't believe it either. The knocking didn't stop. Every night, like clockwork, it came at midnight. Sometimes I'd look through the peephole and see her, standing there, head down, hand raised like she was about to knock again. Other times, there was nothing, just the sound, echoing in the empty hallway. I started keeping a journal, writing down every detail, hoping it would make sense. It didn't. The more I wrote, the less real it felt, like I was slipping into someone else's nightmare. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to follow her. When the knocking came, I flung the door open, flashlight in hand. The girl was there, just like before, but this time she didn't stay still. She turned and walked down the hallway, her movements slow and deliberate, like she knew I was following. I hesitated, Ms. Nung's rules screaming in my head, but my curiosity was stronger. I slipped into the hallway, closing the door quietly behind me. The girl moved toward the stairwell at the end of the hall, her footsteps silent despite the creaky wooden floor. The wind was louder now, almost deafening, like it was trying to drown out my thoughts. She descended the stairs, and I followed, keeping my distance. The air grew colder with every step, and by the time we reached the ground floor, I was shivering. She didn't stop. She walked straight out the back door of the dormitory, into the night. I should have turned back. Every instinct screamed at me to go back to my room, lock the door, and pretend this never happened. But I didn't. I followed her across the campus, past the main building, toward the old girls' dormitory. The wind was relentless now, tearing at my clothes, whistling so loudly it felt like it was inside my skull. The abandoned building loomed ahead, its windows boarded up, its walls streaked with moss and decay. The girl stopped at the entrance, a heavy wooden door that looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. She turned her head slightly, just enough for me to catch a glimpse of her face, pale, hollow, with eyes that were too dark, too empty. Then she was gone. Not like she walked away or slipped into the shadows, she was just gone, like she'd never been there. I stood there, frozen, my flashlight shaking in my hand. The door was still there, slightly ajar, creaking in the wind. I don't know why I did it. I don't know what I was thinking, but I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air inside was thick, stale, like the place hadn't been touched in years. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness, illuminating dust-covered furniture and peeling wallpaper. The floor was littered with debris, broken glass, old papers, a single shoe lying in the corner. The wind was quieter here, but there was another sound, faint and rhythmic, like a heartbeat, or knocking. I followed it, my footsteps echoing in the empty halls, until I reached a staircase leading up. The higher I climbed, the colder it got. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on me. At the top of the stairs was a long hallway lined with doors, old dorm rooms, probably. The knocking was louder now, coming from the end of the hall. I moved toward it, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The last door was slightly open, and the sound was coming from inside. I pushed it open and froze. The room was empty, except for a single bed in the corner, its mattress stained and sagging. On the wall above it was a drawing, scratched into the plaster with something sharp, a crude sketch of a girl with long hair, her face blank except for two dark, hollow eyes. The knocking stopped the moment I saw it, replaced by a low, whispering hum, like the wind but softer, more human. I backed away, my flashlight flickering, and that's when I heard it. My name, whispered from somewhere in the room. Min. I ran. I don't remember how I got out of the building, just that I was suddenly outside, gasping for air, the wind screaming around me. I didn't stop running until I was back in my dorm, slamming the door behind me. Trang was still asleep, oblivious. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. The knocking stopped, but the whispering didn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my name, over and over, carried on the wind. I tried to tell Ms. Nung. I went to her office, shaking, and told her everything: the knocking, the girl, the old dormitory. She listened without a word, her face unreadable. When I finished, she leaned forward, her voice low and sharp. "You were told not to go near that building, Min. You broke the rules." She didn't ask about the girl. She didn't ask about the knocking. She just sent me back to class, her eyes boring into me like she knew something I didn't. The rest of the semester was a blur. I stopped talking about it, even to Trang. The other students started avoiding me, whispering behind my back. I don't know if they knew something or if they just thought I was crazy. The wind never stopped, and sometimes, in the middle of the night, I'd wake up to that same whispering hum, my name floating in the air like a curse. I left St. Augustine's at the end of the term. My parents didn't ask why, and I didn't tell them. I'm back in the city now, far from that hill, but I can still hear it sometimes, the wind, the whispering, my name. I don't know who that girl was, or why she was there. I don't know what she wanted, but sometimes, when it's quiet, I feel her watching me, waiting, just out of sight. And sometimes, late at night, I hear a soft, deliberate knock on my door.